This episode is for my girlies, and hopefully it can help you provide insight for you or someone that may be experiencing the pause. I'm talking brain fog, sleepless nights, or instead of what the F, it's what the P. It's time to be what I call pause positive, because it's not just about one moment of menopause. This is a journey, so let's walk through it together. Welcome to Gateway Hug. This is the intersection where clinical insight meets intuitive wisdom. And I'm your host, Nurse Mel, and I'm passionate about helping women navigate midlife with confidence, clarity, and connection. So today's episode is a personal glimpse into my own journey, research that I've done, read, and experience working with women who are waking up to the truth that something feels off, even when the routine labs look normal. So before we dive in, let me be very clear that this podcast is for educational purposes only, informational and educational purposes only. It is not medical advice by any means, and you should always consult with your own medical team for specific care. And what I share here is grounded in, again, an intersection of expert research studies that are out there, as well as my own lived experience. And ultimately, I hope it encourages you to ask deeper questions and advocate for your own wellness with the experienced providers that you personally trust. Okay, so I've been led to a pathway called Pause Positive. This involves embracing every stage of your body's natural change, from premenopause to perimenopause to full-blown menopause and postmenopause, and recognizing the power of tuning into our bodies in midlife, especially as it relates to hormones, heart health, and also why we need to stop waiting for a routine lab value just to validate how we're feeling. Okay, so what does it mean to be pause positive? What does that even mean? I believe this is a mindset. It's the reframing of how we perceive and demystify these midlife changes. Because let's be for real, we've all been conditioned to fear the stigma of menopause, as if it marks the beginning of a decline, like a societal shame of aging or disconnection from our youth. But I refuse and I reject that notion because it's just a common misconception. I really like to think of midlife as a portal. It's like a doorway into the most honest version of ourselves. And yes, hormones are wildly changing. It can be scary. Our sleep, our moods, our metabolism, even our relationships might feel like they're shifting. But instead of seeing that as a breakdown, what if we saw it as a breakthrough? Again, it's that mindset. So being pause positive is about embracing this season with curiosity over fear, learning to tune in rather than ignore, and realizing that what we're feeling isn't just aging. It truly is divine information. It's female energy and guidance, and it really is our body's way of speaking up. So personally speaking, I noticed that I was having irregular cycles, body changes, heart flutters, weight fluctuations, brain fog, all kinds of random, even if I generally took care of myself. And so after tests and specialists and labs that all came back normal, it finally dawned on me that I was experiencing midlife changes. So my nurse brain kicked in. I researched several studies and learned from leaders in this space. And wow, there's just so much to learn. And so I hope to share information that you may want to look into on your own time for yourself. But seriously, who knew that there were various stages of this pause life? So let's break this down, as well as maybe talk about some herbals that may be helpful. Again, this is informational and educational, not intended to be medical advice or prescriptive, so always check with your healthcare practitioner to determine what is best for you. Okay, so starting with premenopause, these are your regular cycling years, okay? So this is from the time period, from the time you start your period to your 30s and sometimes early 40s, and hormones are somewhat steady and symptoms likely haven't really started yet. And then there comes perimenopause, the transition commonly recognized in your 40s. But again, sometimes it shows up in your late 30s for some. And this is when your hormones swing. Periods may be irregular, and symptoms like hot flashes or night sweats, mood changes, and brain fog may appear. And so in terms of herbals, this is where black cohosh can be supportive. It's been widely studied for reducing hot flashes and night sweats. Licorice root and nettle leaf can help ease hormonal mood swings and also reduce inflammation and stress. And then the official menopause stage happens. It's currently technically defined as 12 consecutive months without a period. Estrogen is low and the body's recalibrating. This is where valerian root acts as a phytoestrogen. So it could help with sleep disturbances like insomnia, anxiety, hot flashes, and really just settling that nervous system. And then obviously after menopause, it's postmenopause. And this is when symptoms may ease or linger, but it's important to really focus on long-term health and good nutrition for your bones, your heart, and just your overall vitality, right? So good nutrition is always essential and important throughout each and every stage, but even more important as the years go by. So now that we've covered nutrition and herbals, I really want to take a moment to demystify the fear of hormone replacement therapy, otherwise known as HRT. So in 2002, the Women's Health Initiative, the WHI, they released a study that linked HRT to increased risks of breast cancer and heart disease. Yikes, this seems like a big yikes, right? That stirred up fear and hesitation in most women. But here's what rarely gets talked about until kind of like now, the actual clarification of this study. So let me geek out for a moment as a nurse, okay? One, most women in the study, they were already over 60 and well beyond their early years of menopause. They were using oral synthetic hormones, not the more natural bioidentical options that are available now. And the group using estrogen alone actually saw a reduced risk of breast cancer and cardiovascular disease. So as nurses, again, we are conditioned to follow the science and clinical research quality. Also, as a super curious midlifer, I went back and actually read the deeper analysis, which felt frustrating. I learned that outdated fear has kept so many women from getting support that they may benefit from when they get the support at the right time and get the right support from their care team. So why do I care about this? Because women's health is so important. It is often misunderstood, especially when it comes to the connection between menopause and cardiovascular disease. So we all know that estrogen is naturally protective. I guess maybe not everyone knows, but it supports healthy blood vessels, cholesterol, metabolism, and insulin sensitivity. And then as estrogen levels decline over the years, we experience increased risks of muscle loss, reduce bone density, lower physical strength, and then when estrogen drops, our risk for high blood pressure, arterial stiffness, and heart disease increases. And that's why current research supports something called the timing hypothesis, which basically suggests that HRT within 5 years of menopause, typically before the age of 60, it can actually reduce heart disease risk and improve quality of life. But if it started too late after a long period without estrogen, that protective window may close and maybe risks potentially rise. So again, it's not about a one-size-fits-all. I'm here to just tell you it's important to advocate for your own health so that you can get personalized care at the right time. Again, that means asking the right questions, even if your provider or your medical care team hasn't brought it up. We need to encourage women to think beyond the labs and tune into the most powerful skill that we can develop in midlife, and that's listening to your body. I can't tell you how many women I've talked to who feel completely dismissed and misunderstood. You may be told your labs are normal, or, oh, those symptoms are just part of aging, or, oh, you're still getting your period, so it can't be perimenopause. But what about the anxiety that came out of nowhere? What about the night sweats on top of the brain fog and the weight gain, or feeling like your nervous system is always on edge? Again, your labs might be normal, but you don't feel normal. And that's valid. What you're feeling is valid. So as nurses and as women, we have to remember that symptoms are data. Our body is communicating. She's not broken. She's not dramatic. She is telling you to tune in. Okay, so what do we do with all of this? So for me, the answer is balancing, again, that clinical knowledge with holistic practice. So bioidentical hormone replacement therapy is one thing, but we also want to honor and support our whole system. And this means balancing blood sugar by choosing foods that are real, and I'm talking whole natural foods. Supporting your nervous system with breath work, yoga, meditation, rest, and my favorite, human connection. Oh, and I love Qigong too. Nourishing your chemistries and balancing minerals is important, like your magnesium, potassium, and sodium, and prioritizing some form of movement. And also rest is just as important, and just really keeping your body in rhythm. And we also need to check in with our emotions, because midlife is also a crossroad with who we've been for so long, and then also, more importantly, who we are becoming. Try not to worry so much about managing the symptoms. We really all need to start learning how to be in relationship with our bodies again. So if you're in your 30s or 40s or 50s and feeling like something's shifting, even if it doesn't show up on a lab test or diagnostic test, please just trust in that. Trust your body. You're not imagining it. You're not overreacting. And remember, you are not alone. So always reach out. Be curious. See what's out there. So if this episode helped you or sparked some form of curiosity, please share it with a friend, especially if you know someone that's going through some of these symptom changes. And definitely advocate for yourself. And tune in for the next episode.